Hello and welcome to my studio. I'm Jessie and this is the Knit Up and Dye podcast, episode 73, Powerful Reminders. As always, I start with my thank yous, and a special thank you goes out to my new subscribers and my ongoing subscribers. I love you guys. What you see here is really all about you. I'm always looking to hear from you about what you want to see, what you want to hear, what you'd like demonstrated. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. And that doesn't always have to be about knitting. Hello and welcome go out to Monica, Vonnie, Ernst, Holly, Chris, Cecily, Techaholic, Harry, LML Auth. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for adding me to your lives. Special love and thank you go out to, big list guys, Wendy, Catherine, Cindy, Rosalie, Teresa, Sylvie, Chris FF, Leanne, Tiffany, Joy, Susan, Wheezy, Adriana, Lemore, Wayne, Sonia, Patricia, Lisa Lette, Cappy, Kath, Bente, Christy, Neetsy, Charlotte, Chris, Roseanne, Linda, Marie, Eve, Faye, David, Donna, Betty Ann, Scott and John, Carolyn, Kate, Terry, Bex, Nancy, and Rachel. And a warm hello and thank you go out to all of my patrons. You honor me. A huge collective thank you from everyone for the patronage that has provided improved sound and lighting. Thank you. I'm going to begin straight out by addressing last episode and the week since. I have received so many messages of love and support and understanding. People have reached out to me with their own stories. It has been humbling. It has been amazing. It has been fulfilling. It has been everything. And I am so grateful for every one of you. And I have my big list, but I do not have confidence that I thanked all of you by name. There were so many emails, and I'm afraid that there are some I still have not yet gotten to reply to. I tried to reply as soon as I got your messages and had time to really digest what you had sent me, because I knew that every one of those messages was very personal, whether it contained a personal story or it was you simply reaching out with energy for me. I really took time to take that message in and then tried to write right back to you. And I was on my phone responding sometimes, I was on my computer responding sometimes, and unfortunately those two email systems don't talk to each other. So I'm having to go back and try to compare both lists and make sure I responded to everyone. If I did not respond to your message, it was not personal. You simply fell between the cracks. And I read your message. It meant a lot to me. I simply digested and then lost track of where I was and didn't have the opportunity to get back to respond. My apologies. Again, I am trying to go back through all of them and make sure that I responded to everybody personally. I'm a reader. I enjoy reading books, and this is like way off topic. I enjoy reading books, and I often have anywhere between 2 or 3 books going at a time. I have a book that lives at my kitchen table, and I read a little bit each morning during my breakfast. And I have a book that lives at my nightstand, and I read a little bit each night to fall asleep. And then I often have a book floating that I'm reading at the same time. And there's something to be said about our minds and how knitting enhances our minds, especially if you're not a monogamous knitter. If you have a couple of different projects going on at the same time, you recognize that this one is a sock and has sock instructions, and this one is a sweater and has sweater instructions, and you don't confuse the two. And people often will say to me, how can you read so many books at once? Just like knitting projects. When I pick up that project, I know what I'm doing with that project, and I remember where I was and the yarn and the stitches, and I go forward with that. And when I pick up this project, I go forward with that, and I don't get confused. Same with books. Long story for a really short means. I've been reading a book. I just started a book, and it's fiction. When I'm not reading to improve myself, I'm either reading Harry Potter series again, imagine, or I am reading historic fiction or fiction that is historically placed in its time and place. And I'm reading a new book, and I'm not far enough into it. I'm not going to bore you with the details. But there was an interesting thing that touched home with me this morning when I was reading it. And it was a nun, and she was observing this brick wall. And there were a few bricks that were separate, that were not part of the wall, but were a part of the purchase to build the wall. And when she looked at the brick, she saw on the side the name of the manufacturer stamped on. And it occurred to her that that name is on every single one of the bricks in that wall. And it's secreted away because that stamp is on the side that the mortar is applied to when you build the wall. And that just touched home to me in kind of a funny way, that here I am, I'm chasing all these emails around and making sure that I responded on Ravelry and YouTube and email and Instagram and text messages, and I thank you. You guys kept me busy and made me think about a lot of different things and have huge appreciation for your trials and your lives. And I just realized that every one of you is a brick in my wall. And although your name may have been obscured when I built that wall this week with all the bricks, all the empowerment, all the love, it's secreted away, and it's still part of what's holding up that wall. And that's important. So although I don't see your name anymore, you're still a brick in my wall. You're still part of my strength, and you still matter. Books are powerful. So, moving on. Let's talk about knitting, shall we? That is, after all, why you come here, right? I hope. I have been keeping a running list of all the projects that are in process of some kind ever since I did my parade episode where I went through all of my whips. I keep the running list here on my sheet, and every week I update that list as to what's been going on with it, and often that list just sits untouched. But I did hammer away a little bit at some things since that episode, and I'm getting closer to knocking that list down. The list has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 items remaining on it, 2 of which are still missing. I have no idea where these 2 projects are. If I have time this week, I'm going to try and dig in again and give the studio one more search. There's only so many spaces here that it could be. But I'm going to give the studio one more search, and if I can't find them, I am going to call them MIA and say a little prayer that they moved on to a better place, and I don't know why I don't remember them, where I put them. I remember the projects clearly, I don't remember where they are. And I've touched them, I know I've touched them, I must have, they've either been stored strangely for some bizarro reason, or I sent them on to a better life already, I don't know. This week, however, I did some progress. I chipped away at the socks that I refer to as my Lost in Space socks. These are being knit from a sock blank that I had dyed. There's not a lot left of my blank. That's my blank that remains. I have one sock wholly done, and I love it. I think it's so pretty. And then I have another sock that is past the heel and onto the foot. And I'm knitting in the round with my little 9-inch circulars. And although this is a blank and has wild stitch pattern, I mean, you see those colors, they're gorgeous. there is a stitch pattern in there. And you can't see it. It's obscured by the yarn. Not a good yarn stitch pattern pairing by any standard. You might be able to see, yeah, I can see a little bit on the monitor, some of the stitching coming up. It's kind of a secret project. It was a poor pairing. However, it is a pattern that I'm designing. And when you test knit it, sometimes you're only looking to make sure that the pattern works, which is what's happening here, because I can't photograph this and use this as my pattern picture. I can't. You can't see it. You can't appreciate it. However, I can knit it and I can write up the pattern, and then we can either have a sample knit, or I can knit a sample and then we have photographs for the new pattern. There's a pattern in the works here. I'm currently calling it my Lost in Space socks. We will see what it becomes. Sometimes the names change, but I am just a little bit further on till the toe, and then we're in a good place with that. So those are making progress. I'm excited about that. My Venetian Dream sweater, which is a pattern by Josie Paquin. It's beautiful. I made a little bit of progress on my sweater, not a lot. I had this idea that by now it would be done. Ha 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 ha. Things end up camping, you know, that's just how it happens. So this is the front of the sweater, and the front of the sweater, it's knit in the round, top down. It's lovely. It's a really beautifully written pattern. I have finished the front half after you split the hem. I am working on the back half after you split the hem. I don't have a whole lot further to go. I think I have 4 more repeats of the lace, and then that'll be done and I can go on to the sleeves. The last time I talked to you about this, I think I told you it should be like 3 weeks. It's been way over 3 weeks, and unfortunately this did get set aside, and so 3 weeks have come and gone and my sweater's not done. It'll get done, all in good time, everything for a reason, and I still am in love with it. But I've been packing at it. Couple rows here, couple rows there. We had a friend over yesterday to visit, and I got a row on while he was sitting with us, and not a lot, just a little bit, while I have a little bit of free time to myself that isn't already dedicated to hundreds of other pre-qualified projects. My acrylic socks, I have not touched them. My Daylin sweater, also an acrylic project, I have not touched it. My How to Eat an Elephant blanket, I think I might have put 1 or 2 squares on that I didn't tell you guys about. It's off elsewhere. I'll show it to you when I have something done on it, but I didn't touch it this past week. My Fox Paws, that's camping. My Overflow, that's camping. My Dark Heroes socks. This had been a project that I had started to make socks for my husband, and I had not really had a good pattern to work with. He has a long and wide foot and very skinny ankles. I had tried to make some adaptations to a pattern, and I had added some elastic thread to it to try to give him the tight ankle that he was looking for with the comfort foot that he was looking for. He also has a particularly high arch, which can be complicating in a narrow ankle. Neither here nor there. I had tried these socks. The ankle was going to be tight enough for him. There was no way it was going to fit up over his foot. I thought perhaps they might fit me. I gave them a try. Not unless I lose half a foot. Just not going to happen. Simply not going to happen. And I had let that camp while I brewed on what I was going to do with it. It has been frogged. I have recovered that yarn. I'm very excited about recovering that yarn. I think it's beautiful. It was one of the Supernatural yarns. I love her work. I don't remember the name of the color. It is frogged. It is back in my stash. The elastic thread has been pulled out of it. That is gone. And it will have a new life someday. The Duchess of Santa Fe, that is the gold bias wrap that I showed you guys that I've been designing for years. That is still camping. That is sitting aside. The 2 projects that are missing, and that leaves only the Farmhouse Shawl. I showed you guys how to block it last week, and here it is. It's lovely. I'm thrilled with it. It came out simply gorgeous. It's drapey and wonderful. So happy with this, so happy. All the gauge changes came out perfect. The size is lovely. It swings around, it drapes, and you have so much wearability option with this. I'm thrilled with it. I'm thrilled with it. I couldn't be happier. It's done. The pattern is mostly written up. It needs a couple more tweaks and a quick tack on it. And then it needs testers. How many of you just went, me? I know you guys have been clamoring at me about this one for a while. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the encouragement. I appreciate it. I'm so glad that I did it. I'm very excited to have this almost ready for offer. If you are interested, seriously interested in testing this, please reach out to me, send me an email. I am looking for 4 test knitters. 4. If you would like to use your own fingering weight yarn, please let me know. If you are interested in buying one of the combos that I have previously shown, let me know. It will be at a significant discount. You are doing me a favor if you knit it in my yarns. Contact me. I can send you pictures again of the colorways that I have paired up for the kits at this point, and we will work it out, and I will do it as a custom order to you at a significant discount. We will discuss all the details in private. But again, I'm looking for 4 people to test knit. Contact me if you're serious about it. The yardage on it is under 400 yards each of 2 colors. Fingering weight. The needle is I can't remember what the needle size is. It's just there. Let me grab the needle. I used a 47-inch circular needle. It was able to hold all of the stitches. You're working back and forth. It is on a US 4, a 3.5 millimeter needle. So let me know. Certainly your gauge may vary slightly. I believe that there is enough yardage in a 400 yard skein to be excessive if your gauge is slightly different, smaller or larger. I think I have a solid 10% blocked into that. Feeling good about it, feeling good about it. So, we did all the photography for this yesterday. It has been triple digit weather over here, and this is cozy. I love it. It is warm though, so I won't sit here and wear it today. But I made progress, yes. And this is part of my design along. I will not have this posted in the finished objects threads because I am not eligible for prizes. Wouldn't that be awful if I offered prizes for a design along and then I went and won them? That's wrong. Yeah, obviously I think I'm funny. So there are 3 beautiful, beautiful projects that have been listed as completed objects over in the design along thread on my Ravelry group. Feel free to pop over there and give them some love. There are some really talented designers out there, and they would love to hear from you. Please don't chatter in the finished object thread. Feel free to direct contact people or to message over in the questions and comments thread. That would be wonderful. The finished objects thread is where we do our prize drawings from, so it's just easier not to have chatter in there. What else is going on? Oh, and the design along is open until September here we go, September 1st. If you're interested in joining the design along, come on in. We'd love to have you. It is open to knit and crochet any project of your own design. Modifications of existing patterns are allowed. They just simply have to be significant. Please make it your own. Theme that we chose was connection. That has never been more fitting to me than it is right now. Pardon me. I am so sorry for the interruption. I had an important phone call I had to take, and now I've lost track of myself, so we're just going to pick up where I think I left off. I was talking about the design along. Come join us. Plans, future plans. I am still pulling together the community knit together mixer. That will be kicking off in August. I'll have more details about that as we get closer. YouTube Live. I've had a number of you reach out to me and say, oh, I missed it. I want to do it. Next week, that would be June 30th, Saturday, June 30th. In lieu of my regular episode, we're doing a YouTube Live. So, the times for that will be 10 a.m. my time, GMT 4 p.m., BST 5 p.m., CEST 6 p.m. Central will be noon. Eastern will be noon. Central will be 11 a.m. and Pacific will be 9 a.m. If you're in a time zone that I did not list, feel free to send me an email and I'll do the conversion for you if you can't readily make that conversion. I am trying to provide conversions for everybody that contacted me. So BST should be British summertime. Again, that was 5 p.m. CEST, I'm sorry, I don't remember what that converts to, but that's talking to my friends in Sweden and Norway. This particular episode, I'm very sorry, will be very inconvenient to those of you in Australia. I will try to work out a better time for you folks. The next regular live will be Wednesday, July 11th, 7 p.m. my time. It'll be GMT 1 a.m., London is 2 a.m., Eastern time is 9 p.m., Central is 8 p.m., and Pacific is 6 p.m. That should have all been scrolling here for you, and hopefully you caught that. I will try to list that in other places for you so that you have the best opportunity to try and schedule that and join us. And I would love to have you join me. The live is really quite special in that you get to interact with me instead of sitting there and going, and I can't hear you. This way I actually get your messages live as I'm talking, and I can respond to your questions with actual answers in live time. There were a couple of questions that I think I missed. I have not had time to go back and review my last live episode for any questions that I missed so that I could answer them again for you. Certainly feel free, if I did not answer your questions, to send me a message and I will either add it to the next live or answer it here in my regular episodes. That is about it. I have some dyeing I have to go do, and I will have a sneak peek of the Patreon skein next week. And if you're not familiar with Patreon, please pop on over to my Patreon page. Your patronage means everything to this podcast and enables me to do even more, as well as gets you prizes and yarn. Next drawing for Patreon is around July 7th. It's either July 7th or 8th. It depends on what day I do my podcast. So that'll be not next week, the week after. I think that's about it. I think I better go and finish that pattern. I need to dye. Between dye batches, I need to work on the farmhouse pattern and start answering some emails. Again, very, very heartfelt thank you to everyone who reached out to me. I am humbled by your stories. I am tiniest little bit embarrassed that my little thing was so big when I read how big some of the impacts are that you people have suffered. And wow, the strength, the resilience, the kindness, the generosity that have come from you. You people are wonderful, and I am grateful for you. Thank you. I'll see you next week. Bye.